Have you ever wondered why ancient people feared death so deeply? So deeply that they believed it couldn't possibly be natural. Welcome to my channel. Today, we're diving into the mysterious world of magic, its roots, its rituals, and how it's shaped human history across cultures and time. But before we get started, here's a quick question to get your imagination going. Which of these ancient acts was considered magical? A. Making a wish on a falling star. B. Burning herbs to protect a home. C. Carving symbols on a cave wall. D. All of the above. Hold on to your answer. You might be surprised by what you learn. Now, picture this: a world without medicine, without science, without any way to predict the weather, illness, or even survival. In this world, people didn't just grow old and die, they vanished, suddenly and mysteriously. Lightning struck. Disease came out of nowhere. A loved one simply never came back from the forest. To people living in these times, death felt like an invisible force, not a natural process. That fear, raw, unpredictable, and constant, gave birth to belief. If something unseen could take life away, maybe something else could protect it. And that's where magic begins. Not with potions or spells, but with the oldest human instinct, the need to make sense of what we don't understand. Over time, people developed rituals. They said prayers. They left offerings. They hoped. And slowly, magic took shape, an invisible system meant to shield them, bless them, or give them some small sense of control in a world that rarely made sense. But even now, no one can fully define what magic is. It's never been fully embraced by science, yet it never disappears. It's like a shadow that follows belief, slipping into corners of culture, tradition, and even faith. In many societies, magic became more than superstition, it became a part of everyday life. It shaped rituals, guided decisions, and even influenced politics. Ironically, for something so powerful in the minds of its believers, magic has often been seen as weak or irrational by the outside world. So how do scholars explain it? Well, there are two main schools of thought. One says that magic was born from ignorance. Early humans, lacking science, used imagination to fill the gaps. Thunder. That's a god angry in the sky. Illness. A curse, maybe. The second view is more emotional. Magic, it says, wasn't about misunderstanding, it was about coping. When you're grieving, or terrified, or desperate for love, logic doesn't comfort you. Ritual does. A charm, a prayer, a sacred object, it makes you feel connected, protected. And maybe both are true. Because magic wasn't just belief. It was culture. It was memory. It was the way people remembered their ancestors, protected their children, or gave meaning to loss. But as science advanced, especially in the West, magic was pushed to the margins. Labeled as irrational, silly, dangerous even. Yet history tells a different story. In ancient Rome, magic and religion were nearly the same thing. Sacrifices, omens, rituals, these weren't seen as separate from faith. They were faith. It wasn't until Christianity began to spread that these practices were rebranded. What once were sacred ceremonies became black magic, paganism, heresy. The word magic itself may come from ancient roots tied to birds and omens. But over time, it became a word of fear. A label slapped on any belief or ritual that didn't fit the dominant religion or political agenda. By the Middle Ages, magic had been forced underground, but it never left. Think of the mysterious Arab sorcerer figure that entered folklore, seductive, wise, and feared. Think of how prophecy, healing, and divination continued in secret, often disguised within religious traditions. Many were accused. Many were executed. Often, their only crime was knowing a few herbs or chanting a forgotten prayer. Even philosophers tried to untangle the line between religion and magic. Some said magic was action with a goal, rain, protection, healing. Religion, they claimed, had no tangible outcome. It was about belief itself. But others, like Fraser, believed that magic came before religion, that it was our first attempt to communicate with the unknown, our first language for wonder and fear. And still, magic endured. In every corner of the world, it adapted. It slipped into fairy tales, tribal stories, folk songs. It became legend. The names changed, but the meaning remained. In Jewish mysticism, the Star of David held not just religious, but magical power. In the 1500s, the physician and Seer Nostradamus predicted events through cryptic verses that many believe were inspired by Kabbalistic spells. In the East, Tibetan Buddhism gave birth to a deeply mystical branch known as Lamism, centered on the Dalai Lama. Here, reincarnation is real, and the soul of a deceased spiritual leader is believed to return in the body of a child. If a young boy recognizes the possessions of the former Lama, he is tested through secret rituals. If he passes, he is declared the reincarnation of the Lama himself. It's a powerful mix of faith, magic, and tradition. And it's not just spiritual, it's political. Despite controversies, the Dalai Lama has received global honors, including the Nobel Peace Prize, while also being accused of leading anti-Chinese resistance. That alone shows how intertwined magic, power, and belief still are in today's world. So, what is magic? Maybe it's not something we can measure or touch. Maybe it's a story we've been telling since the beginning, a story that helps us feel less alone, less afraid, and more connected to something beyond ourselves. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real magic. Now, back to our quiz. Which of these ancient acts was considered magical? A. Wishing on a star. B. Burning herbs. C. Drawing cave symbols. D. All of the above. If you guessed D, you're absolutely right. To ancient people, each of those acts was more than symbolic. They were tools for survival, belief, and connection to the unseen world. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of magic, make sure to subscribe for more stories about the mysteries, legends, and forgotten wisdom that shaped our world. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe in magic? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.